talk a little bit now about the draft strength. I mean, we've got a lot of action with quarterbacks, but there's a lot of other good players in good positions.
John, you're right. This is a really deep draft. They are projecting as many as 15 defensive players will go in the first round of this draft. So keep that in mind. There will be a run on defensive pass rush guys. There are really good defensive tackles. Now, most of those guys are going to go from probably 10 back to 30. There is a host of wide receivers to pay attention to. A lot of these guys are going to be second-round draft picks. These guys can fly. There are some good guys that are route runners. There are some guys that are pure terrorists with speed. Those guys are going to go the back end of the first round, and then there'll be a run on those guys into the second round. There are a couple really good defensive backs that are going to go in the first round. It's to me, it's a really deep draft. There's hardly any running backs at all outside of Bijan Robinson from Texas, who some project is going as high as 10. Others think might go in the 15 to 20 bracket. There are virtually no running backs because the game has changed. There are a mass of offensive tackles. And I think you'll see a run on the offensive tackles starting very early in the first round. The best offensive tackle is the kid out of Northwestern, Peter Skoronski. But there's probably 5 offensive tackles, then maybe an offensive guard that are going to go in the first round of the draft. The best DB in the draft is Joey Porter, the son of the Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker. He's going to wind up going probably top 10 pick. And like I say, once one of these offensive tackles drops, you're going to see a whole bunch of teams dive in and go get the rest. And then once one or two of these top pass rushers, edge rushers go off the board, teams are going to scramble to try to pick up the scraps of what's left. So I think defense is really going to dominate. So you got defense, then you got offensive tackles, then obviously quarterbacks. And like I say, second round, I think you'll see a load of wide receivers come off the board.
Well, we've been talking all along how the NFL doesn't really value running backs. And now suddenly there's only really one big time running back. So maybe they figure they're going to find guys 6th round, 7th round, or free agents that they can plug in, have them play for 2 or 3 years. They'll probably get hurt and just recycle, right?
It works that way. There'll be some running back that'll show up and you say, where did he come from? I mean, I think the greatest modern day find of running backs is Austin Eckler. He was undrafted. Mesa College, Colorado, Division II, undrafted. Look what he became. You can find those guys, and you'll find some of these guys that are really good players and are really dedicated and are fast and are quick and are tough. And then you need to have a little bit of luck. I mean, Eckler has been very lucky because he's hardly had any injuries at all over the course of his career, and he's been a phenomenal performer. But those guys are kind of few and far between. But they're out there. You can find them, and that's why you scout.
Yeah, for sure. And it is fun. I mean, when Beathard would find those guys that he could plug in, you got to root for those underdogs to, the what do they say, the diamond in the rough, right? You can find them. So yeah, let's see what happens in this draft. And, maybe some of our Southern California teams might get lucky with some of those type of guys.
Well, I'll be intrigued to see where Dorian Thompson-Robinson goes, UCLA quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Had a really nice career. Has gotten a number of visits in. I think he's at the back end of the draft, but I think he's suddenly one of these guys from the group of 16 that probably gets drafted. In terms of Southern Cal, there's no doubt that Jordan Addison's going to go early. He's the USC wide receiver. Did not have the year at Southern Cal that he had the year prior when he caught 100-plus passes for Pitt. But he's a route runner with an extra gear once he catches the ball. I don't know if he'll be the first wide receiver pick, but he might. Rumblings are that people like Buffalo might be looking at him in the middle of the first round, but he'll be the first one to go. So there won't be any San Diego State kids taken. The program has dipped a little bit. Historically, they've always put guys into the NFL, notably linemen more than anything else. But I don't think there'll be any Aztecs that will get chosen at all.
No, okay. I mean, not at all, or just the first round. You mean not at all?
Not at all.
Oh, wow. So this is definitely a down year for the Aztecs.
Okay, we got questions.